All right, everybody, welcome back. Good late morning now. We've got some more college football stuff to take a look at. We're doing the defense now. And again, what I said about the offense kind of applies to the defense, where I don't think it was a bad week, but a lot of the top guys didn't play or didn't play very much because their games were so lopsided. It was garbage time in like the blink of an eye. Like there were some high level players, some high profile prospects that played less than 15 snaps this week because after like the first quarter and a half, the game's just over and people are trying to protect themselves. We're almost to the end of the year, almost to bowl season, so kind of makes sense. I was still able to find a pretty good selection, but a lot of the high profile guys that I usually talk about every week are not here because they just didn't play enough and they didn't record enough reps to really get that kind of credit. So here we go. All right, guys, before I go any further, I want to tell you guys about my buddies over at Sleeper. And let me tell you, if you're not using Sleeper for daily fantasy football, you are missing out. Check out the left side of your screen right now. Look at all the fun stuff you can get up to. Look at all the stuff you can pick one way or the other on. I've got an entry for this week, the Thanksgiving week of football. We got George Pickens over 75.5 yards against Kansas City. I got Chase Brown and JSN scoring anytime touchdowns in their respective games. And I've got Josh Allen throwing for at least 2 touchdowns against Pittsburgh. Get on over there. You can put together bet slips just like this one. And if you use promo code SBN, that is SBN, you can get up to a $100 match on your first deposit. Terms and conditions apply. See Sleeper's terms of use for details. Check out Sleeper today. Go put your picks down and have fun with sports this year. All right, so starting with nose tackle, Caden McDonald, another good week for him. And according to PFF, he played most of his snaps in A gap. So I know that there's a little bit of a question about whether or not he's a nose at the NFL level. And some weeks he does play a lot of 3-tech, but this week he was in there for Ohio State, 3 tackles and 2 quarterback pressures. Ohio State didn't allow really much of anything in the ground game. 1.9 yards a carry, 79.2 PFF grade. So tough to beat that. Sorry, guys, I just realized I forgot to input some of the data here, but moving along, Darrell Jackson Jr. of Florida State. Interesting game that he had this week. 7 tackles, 3 pressures, which from a guy his size and playing nose is pretty impressive. But he missed 3 tackles. So maybe it's a problem, maybe it's a bad week, I don't know. Darrell Jackson is a player that I wasn't paying a lot of attention to until recent weeks. 3.2 yards per carry allowed by Florida State, 134 yards overall, 75 PFF. He's growing on me. At first, I didn't really look at him as a nose tackle, but it's starting to kind of lean that way. Tim Keenan, the third back for Alabama, only had 2 tackles, but they were both sacks, and he forced a fumble. So, I mean, that's efficiency. I don't even think he played that many snaps in this game. It was like maybe 15, but when you're this good on your 15 snaps, yeah, you're going to get credit. 14 rushing yards allowed, 0.5 yards per carry, about as good as it gets, 71 PFF grade. So, yeah, he's cooking with the limited snaps. Edge rusher. A lot of the top guys either didn't stand out this week or didn't play very much or didn't play at all. Mateo Ugalele is the first rounder that actually showed out this week for Oregon. 7 tackles, 2 for loss, 1 sack, forced a fumble as well, and had 4 total pressures. Every week he's doing it. I mean, it's easy to rush the passer on Oregon because other teams have to throw the ball so much, but 83.7, tough to beat that. Zion Young, familiar name from Missouri. 5 tackles, including 2 for loss and a sack. 5 pressures. Did miss 1 tackle, but in a game that Missouri really put up a good fight against a really good Oklahoma team, he was a big part of the reason why they hung around, 70.3. And his partner in crime also gets a shout out this week, Damon Wilson II. New name here. Only 2 tackles, but a tackle and a half for a loss, including a sack. Batted down a pass, 6 total pressures, and 65.2 PFF. Gabe Jacas, frequent appearer on this list for Illinois. 6 tackles, 2.5 for loss, 2 sacks, forced a fumble, 7 pressures, so an absolutely monstrous game from Yakas. I think he's going to be a day 2 guy, and I'm pretty into him. If you can get him in the 3rd round, I think that's pretty amazing. Did miss 1 tackle, 82.2, tough to beat. And final guy, I think we've talked about him before. Not huge numbers necessarily, but the almost 89 PFF grade is going to carry some weight here. So Wolverine, 1 tackle, but it was a sack, 4 pressures overall. He's I think a day 3 guy at this point, and I think he's a pretty good day 3 guy. Okay, so those are your edge rushers. Let's move to linebacker, where again, a lot of the top guys either didn't play very much, or weren't that stand out. And again, it's just because a lot of these games are one-sided. Like, the one really high-profile linebacker this week that actually made this list was Sonny Styles, and I wouldn't call it stellar, right? Like, you look at some of these other guys, they were a lot more active than Styles, although Styles did play well. 5 tackles, including the half a sack he got, broke up a pass, 2 pressures, and was clean in coverage. 1 target, no catches. So he did a little bit of everything, 77.9. Ohio State is pretty much stomping over everybody they play, so a guy like Sonny Styles is not going to have a ton of opportunities to do stuff, but he makes the most of the opportunities he gets, and I do like him a lot. Gonna be some new names this week, like Rasheem Biles from Pittsburgh. Haven't talked about him before. Very, very active week for Pitt, as they upset Georgia Tech, which was a big one. 15 tackles, including 1 tackle for a loss, 2 pressures, missed a couple tackles, allowed 5 catches, but only 16 yards. So no harm, no foul as far as I'm concerned. 6 targets, 16 yards, that'll get it done. 1 penalty, 65.9 PFF, but very, very active for a team that, I mean, scored a big win this week, right? That's a spoiler right there. Lander Barton of Utah, we've talked about him before. Yes, there is a relation. 5 tackles, including half a tackle for loss, had a pick. Allowed a touchdown in coverage, but it was a 5-yard touchdown. And he only allowed 2 catches on 2 targets for 7 yards. I don't mind that. I don't have a big beef with that. 65 PFF grade, so, I mean, there's some playmaking stuff going on here that excites me. I do like him. I do think he's going to be a better pro than Cody. And by the way, Cody's had his moments in this league. He's become a player that a lot of the teams that he's been on really appreciate. So I like Lander Barton. He's not going to be good at everything, but he's going to be good at some stuff. Josiah Trotter, another new name here, another Missouri defender, part of that really strong effort they had that just couldn't quite get the win. 13 tackles, tackle and a half for loss, missed 1 tackle, allowed 4 catches on 4 targets, but only 6 yards. No problems there. 73.9 PFF, pretty strong. A day 3 guy to be sure, but maybe a day 3 guy worth looking at. And finally, Buffalo's Red Murdoch. Buffalo's Red Murdoch. Definitely a sleeper here because he plays for Buffalo, but he had a big week this week, starting to turn heads. 14 tackles, half a tackle for loss. Had 1 quarterback pressure, also had a missed tackle, but did not get targeted once in coverage the entire game. So very clean, 75.9. Definitely paying attention to him as a day 3 candidate. And linebacker's definitely a position where you see good guys go on day 3 pretty frequently. So it would not be beyond the pale if Murdoch ended up being something in the NFL after not really getting a lot of attention at the college level. So interesting stuff. It's good to see some of these lower rated guys do well this week. Cornerback, wasn't a stellar week for corners overall. A lot of the guys that did well just kind of did quietly well. They just didn't give up a lot, like Colton Hood for Tennessee. Didn't get targeted once by Florida the whole game. 4 tackles, 70.8. Keith Abney, all over the place for ASU. 4 tackles, recovered a fumble, batted down a pass. Got targeted 10 times, only 3 catches for 19 yards. So that's less than 2 yards a target. I will take that from my outside corner any day of the week. 68.8. Like it. Davison Igbinosun of Ohio State had kind of that quintessential, you didn't really notice him game because he just shut down his side of the field. 1 tackle, broke up 1 pass, 0 catches on 2 targets, 90.6. So not splashy, not flashy, but cranking out the very strong performance. Chris Johnson of San Diego State, really coming on strong here at the end. 3 tackles, including 2 for a loss. Picked up a sack, picked up a pick. Didn't allow any catches. Hard to beat that. So everything you could want from a cornerback, he did it. Maybe the best performance this week. 84.3. And finally, we've got a new name here. This is a very deep sleeper. This is probably a day 3 if he's lucky guy for Arizona. Treydon Stukes. 7 tackles, a pick, batted down another pass, allowed 3 catches on 5 targets, 17 yards, so that's great, especially with the takeaway. 80.3. So definitely got my attention. He's going to have to keep it up if he wants to get drafted, but he's got a shot, and he played really well this week, so why not give him a shout out? Okay, that is going to do it for the defense this week. Not bad. It's cool to see some lower level guys get some attention, and hopefully the stars come back out this next week. But we are nearing the end of the college football season, so there aren't going to be too many more of these videos. All right, everybody have a great rest of your day. Go Hawks. Streaming with the Hawks Nest in about an hour and a half, noon. You know the drill. See you there. Go Hawks.